Go.
Good evening, and welcome to the Finance Committee meeting for February 10th. My name is Jeff Sassy, Chairman, and I'd like to go around the room and let you introduce yourselves. So why don't we start on this side?
Thank you. Mark Bergdorf, Alderman, Ward 1, Vice Chair.
Tamara Ingersoll, Finance Director.
Julie Evans, Auditor from Baker Tilly.
And Ken Youngstead, Auditor from Baker Tilly.
Andy Gilley, Parks Director.
Mark Evans, Ward 6, Finance Committee.
Don Ward, Ward 2.
Jay Ritterbeck, Economic Development.
Eddie Robertson, Ward 6.
Well, I want to welcome you all back. This is our first meeting after the big storm, and so we're glad to be back. There's a lot to talk about, so we'll jump right into it. First of all, I need to accept the agenda.
I'll make a motion. Oh, go ahead.
You did it.
I'll make a motion to accept the agenda.
All right,
Second.
any changes? All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
And that's approved, passed unanimously. Next, we have the minutes from December 9th, which, I mean, does anyone remember December 9th? So much has happened since then.
I read over it.
Reminded
Like,
you
oh,
of
yeah,
the
that's
good
right.
times.
Yeah.
Good times.
Any, do you notice any changes here or no? All right, all those in favor of
We
approving?
need a motion.
Oh, need a motion?
I make a motion to accept the minutes. for
Second.
December 9th.
All right, all those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
That passes unanimously. Next, public comments. Do we have anyone signed up?
No.
We do not, so we can get right through there. Next is ordinances and resolutions. Reading of ordinance 2026-02. That's the first 26 ordinance.
Yeah.
Ordinance amending budget ordinance 2025-09 to reflect mid-year adjustments to the city's 2026 fiscal year budget. So I need a motion to discuss it.
So moved.
Second.
All right. Take it away. Actually, Tamara, you want to give a summary of what we're looking at here on page 9? I have it as 9. It's actually 7,
Oh.
isn't it?
No,
is
it's
10?
it's 10. It's page 10 in your packet.
Yeah.
I have a bigger copy so I can see it. So. So we went through, started with doing revenue projections for the end of the fiscal year. We looked at all of our line items of revenue, and then basically took what we thought the impact was going to be and narrowed it down to these 3 line items. The local option sales tax is coming in strong. We'll talk about that later. You can see this number is a little lower than what is reported on there, and that is because there are some other multiple smaller revenue sources that are coming in a little bit under budget. So we want to make sure that we're not, putting ourselves in a position where overall revenue is coming in low. But it is a good sign that both the local option and state sales are coming in high. We're anticipating an increase there. And then interest earnings, and this is important to note, this is just the general fund portion. The interest earnings go across all of our funds, but this budget amendment is 100%, everything in here is related to the general fund. So that first section are the revenues.
On that, can I just point something out for lines 2 and 3? It says current budget. The current budget and the adjusted budget are the same. So just we need to adjust that
thank you.
adjusted budget.
Thank you.
lines.
Yeah, thank you. And then the second section that we have on here, lines 4 through 8. These are all of this is specific for parks, and it's all offset with donations. So there's increased expenditures for a couple of projects, but parks did receive donations that are specific to fund these. So that's where that next section
Are the
came in.
donations in form of grants or what are the donations?
Private citizens.
Private citizen donations.
Yep.
Okay.
And then this third section is adjustments that we're making to the budget for the winter storm, primarily for the debris cleanup. On here, we are anticipating the use of the rainy day fund to front the majority of the debris cleanup until we get the FEMA reimbursement, which
How
would
long
then
does that take usually?
somewhere between 18 months and 2 years usually. So once we receive those FEMA funds, we'll then replenish that rainy day fund at that point in time. And then we're adding a little bit of funds to the insurance line item specific for the storm, as well as there are a handful of facilities that had damage that are covered under insurance that we'll need to be able to pay for.
For the winter storm planning, do we set a receivable up for that, or do we wait until we know that that's coming in, or?
We set a receivable up once FEMA obligates the funds.
Okay.
Yeah.
But not until then.
Not until FEMA obligates the funds.
Is that part of the 18 months to 2 years, or is that sooner? What's a ballpark on that?
We usually get the notice of obligation 4 to 6 months before we receive the money. So it could be in the same fiscal year. It could we could obligate it in one fiscal year and note it as a receivable and then
only
receive the
a
funds. Yeah.
We can apply for it, but we have to wait still a year
hmm
to know anything.
Yeah. It takes a while before they process everything through.
So would it make sense to at least account for it and then write it off at the end of the years if we don't receive it?
I would say no, because until FEMA obligates that money, we do not know for sure that when or if it's coming.
That makes sense.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to put anything down as a receivable until I know for sure that it's been obligated. Yeah. The next section.
Any other questions on winter storm?
No.
Okay, go ahead.
The next section, which is lines 12 through 14, these are 3 new projects that are being proposed, and they all have pretty significant implications. The first, the big tanks at Freehill Road for fuel and refueling are not functioning. The gas system is not functioning. It's completely inoperable, which means that we can't fill the big tanks and then have our folks fill up there, which means they're all going to the gas stations instead of filling up there. And there is an increased cost in the fuel by doing it that way because we're not buying it in bulk. The second project on there is the fire suppression system here at City Hall. It is beyond its useful life and has had several repairs recently.
Okay.
And then the last one is replacing the HVAC and doing some foundation repair at Fire Station 3.
I have a couple of questions. If you don't mind, Jesse, maybe you can help me figure this one out. Or maybe a review either as well. Fuel man and contract fuel services, is that any cheaper than replacing the tanks and having our own available
Well,
to us? Have we explored that option?
We do contract and we get fuel shipped in on a tanker.
Yeah.
The great thing about a tank is in the case of the gas stations losing power,
Oh,
we
you mean
have-
like a winter storm?
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
Then we saw
we have a
fuel.
backup. So Parks has tanks, we have tanks.
Okay. so it is absolutely necessary.
I think yes, absolutely.
Good,
Because
that's what I'm
when
looking
we
for.
need police and fire to always respond.
Yeah.
And it's, in the long run, it might cost about the same because we get a break on
Okay.
bulk fuel.
Okay, all right. Thank you. I was looking for that.
Good question. Fire Station 3, the HVAC system, is it down or what's the status of that? The HVAC at Station 3.
Oh, it is. It is undersized for the building. So we are getting quotes. We've gotten quotes, and we're going to go out to bid for new units that are properly sized for that building. So it was built a while ago. AC was just undersized.
Got it. Okay. All right.
All right. The next lines 15 and 16, the first of those lines is utilizing some tree bank to put into the planning's budget so they can continue to utilize the tree bank funds to plant additional trees.
Is that the resolution that we approved?
That's
they were
line-
the
Nope.
same thing, right?
Nope.
That's line 16.
Yeah, line 16. The next one is the resolution that y'all approved at the last meeting to refund the tree bank funds.
I'm actually talking even before then. We said we wanted to use more tree bank funds. Maybe I think it was actually a budget last year, right?
Oh, yes.
Was it a budget or was
Yeah.
it after budget?
We had that
We're planting a
conversation.
lot of trees.
Yeah, this is in addition to what was added in the budget last year.
Rockland Road appreciates your trees.
Yeah, but we have the funds. We
yeah.
have funds sitting in an account, so it's
Yeah, I
great.
mean, how much is in that fund right now? It's pretty healthy. Isn't
Yeah,
it?
I don't know the exact dollar amount. I want to say there's close to 300,000 in the tree
Yeah.
bank fund right now.
Did we lose any trees during the storm that we need to replace?
Is that what
Oh, I'm
we-
sure we
I'm
did,
sure.
Okay. Yeah, good.
Yeah. Yeah, so that's using the tree bank funds and then that refund that was approved on the prior resolution.
But these tree bank funds have to be used within public or city
That's
property.
right.
It can't be used for just replacement of any tree.
That's correct.
Okay.
All right, and then this last sections, lines 17 through 28, are a lot of different things that are all just in this one group because they don't fit in a group by themselves. The first line, beautiful Hendersonville is asking for just under $2,500 to purchase a storage container to keep all of their all the decoration supplies, all the garland that they had put up and everything, and they would place it at the public works yard.
That's what my question was. What is that storage container? Is that one of those shipping containers?
Mm-hmm.
Where are they storing their stuff? Yeah.
In a storage unit that is rented by one of the committee members.
And at the Beatty Farmhouse.
And at the
Heritage Park House.
Yeah.
It's about to be torn down.
And I believe they have some at Public Works as well. So
Okay,
they've
so
got,
it's kind of all over the place.
all over.
This was centralized all in one place.
Mhm.
Okay.
The next line is adding funds to be able to do a public safety recognition event in the spring. That's $3,000. And then I'll say the next three kind of go.
I just want to make sure that's for fire and police.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
And then the next three lines go kind of hand in hand. So IT needs $20,000 additional funds to cover some software costs that came in beyond what they were projecting. But the next two lines are out of finance budget. The first one, the $7,600, we're requesting to reduce because that was the portion of our technology for property tax that is now in Tyler Munis, which falls under IT's budget as opposed to the old software that was in finance's budget. And then also we're requesting to reduce $25,000 for implementation costs because some of the implementations that we've been doing came in less than what we anticipated.
Go Tamara.
Yeah. Thank you.
Woohoo! And then
Ask Jesse to give you that check.
no, have a bonus.
We're considering rules and regs tonight, so that's
Anything's possible. Then the next line going down is
You need an assistant.
I know. I do. Is requesting some additional funding for the repair and maintenance of the vehicles for the fire department. They've had a couple of large repairs that they had to do. I think they had 2 engines that had turbos go out, and those cost about $13,000, $14,000 a piece to repair, and some other significant. Yeah.
I'm sorry. Is there anything like a warranty on those, or have we expired the warranty
there are
on those turbos?
sorry, there are
No
warranties.
cheap-
Yes. So there's 2 companies that we use because they're certified for emergency vehicles, and these are, it's a big piece of equipment. So you don't just, drive it into your local mechanic to get it fixed. So it's thousands of dollars every time we do anything.
Right.
And the newer equipment has more electronics on it than the old equipment, so everything's more expensive to repair. And both the technicians that we use charge us an hourly rate. So the time that they come to spend on it, they're very responsive.
So they come to our.
They come
They're
to
mobile.
ours. Sometimes
Okay,
they have to
good.
tow it to their shop, so
Okay.
they're mobile.
Okay.
But we're talking about how expensive it is to repair fire apparatus.
Yeah.
And it's not something where we're like, hey, let's go out and shop 6 different quotes. We have an engine down. We do have a backup that we use, but we have 2 guys,
So there's
2
no
companies.
loss in service, no lapse.
Yeah.
in
That's
service.
right. That's right.
Gotta
So
get
it's a goal of ours just to get that equipment back on ASAP.
So I'm a little confused by this because we have budget for repairs and maintenance. Why is this not just dipping into that fund? Have we used all that up already?
Oh yeah, or close to it.
Yeah. So
We will be exceeding budget.
right now it's at 250,000 for the repair and maintenance, and we're estimating it's going to be by the end of the year 390. So we're going to need another 140, and this is just like
Is that-
Tamara said.
How
Is that
much
because
is
of the
that?
accident that one of the engines got into? That was covered by insurance.
Yeah,
right? So
no, it would be turbochargers that
140.
go out. When you get tires, just the back tires are $4,000 for a set of two tires on the front.
Everything that has to do with those trucks, bumper to bumper, is ridiculously expensive.
Mhm.
And a lot
I'm in
of
the wrong business, guys.
Did we not say that the other day?
Emergency
just the
service.
labor rates alone are about $175 to $200 an hour just for the labor rates. You're looking at, for any kind of medium repair, anywhere from 6 to 8 hours minimum on a labor.
And we just had excessive repairs that needed to be done this fiscal year, or?
Oh,
It's not just this fiscal year.
I was gonna say, I recall this was the
Yeah.
problem
We
last
we had
year.
the same conversation last year.
So
too.
we-
Increased the budgets too.
yeah, we
Not
thought we
enough.
might have to do this at mid-year. We can't come in and we knew we might have to do this at mid-year, and now we have Station 7 on, so that's another engine that we have as well too. So it's very expensive. I would say the average bill that comes in, I'm gonna around $10,000
Yeah, I was
when
gonna
it
say
comes
8 or
in.
9, yeah, somewhere in there.
You know, that's for
Definitely.
We
one
need to
engine.
seriously consider that this budget needs to be,
Mhm.
and not wait for mid-year. We need to make sure the budget's what it needs to be at the beginning of the year.
Mhm.
Yeah, I don't like a surprise like this.
Yeah.
I agree. I know you don't either,
No,
Yeah.
none of us
Yeah.
do.
but
Yeah.
I'm sure you don't.
I mean, if we have a history of it being a certain amount for 2 or 3 years running, then we should go ahead and budget for that at the beginning of the year.
All right.
All right.
I don't know.
Sorry,
any other
it's just
questions.
adding
Do you
more to you.
No.
Do you have any more questions on that?
I do, not on that one, but I do on 23.
Okay.
Which one's 20,
We'll let you know.
Oh, the overtime salaries, that's the next
That's the
line.
next line, okay.
Yeah, requesting additional overtime, salaries for fire.
And so the only thing I have to say about that is another thing that's the same thing, where we're doing the same thing every year. And I don't know what the answer is there, and do we need to put more budget in there for this line item? Or is this a situation where we need to have more staff to have in a rotation where you're not having to pay overtime salaries, but you have people that are on staff? Something to consider.
Yeah, like the ice storm that we just had, that we pulled a lot of extra people in
Sure.
where,
Sure.
even if we had another 2 or 3 people on shift, well, I think we brought even maybe 5 or 6 people on shift some days.
Yes, sir.
But we'll probably need to just consider upping overtime more
In the budget,
permanently
yeah,
as
okay.
7 is on now. Now, you could put on another 3 employees, which would cost you about $300,000. But I don't know that you would really see much anything of an overtime savings, because in times of
Stress. Gotta have the people.
you gotta have the people that come in. So
Okay.
overtime, I think you want to see some overtime budget. If you never have an overtime budget, probably most of the time, you don't maybe need all those folks in. So I think we want to see some overtime budget. We just may need at the front end
Okay.
bump this up a little
It just
bit.
concerns me that this was the same. We had the same thing last year, and every year we're adding, 150 to 200,000 as overtime budget. So I'd rather do that again on the front end.
Mhm.
All right, and then the next line 24, is requesting additional funding to cover the retirement payout for 2 employees that were not identified in the original budget when we went through the process.
So that's vacation and sick,
Sick.
basically,
Yeah.
buyout for 2 tenured employees,
Yeah.
and we have to do that.
Yeah. Well, yeah. So I'm going to ask the question here. So, and I think we've asked this question before. What do we need to make sure that we're doing? Maybe the idea of polling your managers, your directors, who's thinking about retiring. Maybe that might be somewhat helpful, but maybe it might be antiquated, and that look at the people that you do have and making sure that we have a mechanism in place so that we're making sure that we're covering for that. Because hindsight, and I know that we did the best that we could, but we knew that this was going to happen, and we should have had that set aside in some way. So now that I know that this big one is out of the way, are there others that we need to be considering and that we need? And I think Eddie and I had talked about this. Do we need to have something where we're accruing 50,000 or something like that, so that we're setting that aside and not getting hit with something like this every year.
Yeah,
when it
I think that's a good point. We do poll before we budget, we do poll folks to say, hey, is anyone thinking about retirement? And we build that into the schedule for the departments. Typically for police, because we don't always hire at 100%, we'll have 5 or 6 or 7 or 8 throughout the year who aren't on the book, so we can absorb those.
Mhm.
Sometimes that happens with fire too. The smaller departments, not so much. But we can, like in our central services, we can set a budget aside for, and this is kind of like just a guesstimate, right? We're going to just put in $100,000 a year for
And you
unexpected
can transfer
retirement.
it as
And that could kind of just sit in there every year. So we do that for capital projects. We put in, a couple $100,000 a year for contingency. If something goes over, we have that bucket of money we can use. So we can do something like that in central services, because we don't always know, even though we poll and we have some room. This is an example.
But in addition to you poll and your finance, but you have an idea of maybe people's age, or kind of what they're thinking, or the fact that they've you've heard people talking. So maybe you can kind of add that on to what you might know. I'm just trying to
Spread
think.
it out over a few
Yeah,
years
and
instead of all at once.
I'm just trying to think in terms of, okay, how can we do this where it's not a big lump sum at one time?
Yeah.
When we kind of should be preparing for that. And I get that this is one extraordinary item, and probably not going to see that again.
Yeah, I think this is the one employee is substantially higher than anybody else on the books by like at least, I want to say, double. There's nobody else that even comes close to the amount of sick time that'll get a payout like that.
But we can certainly do that. It's just sometimes it's difficult when we're like, hey, are we going to cut a street back? Are we going to cut COLAs down? Because, we got to set that money aside. But we certainly can do that. We can put some money in like a retirement, unexpected retirement account and do it. It would somewhat be a guess because we're trying to bake that into schedules already. But, that's certainly something that can be.
But we have
put in
some
the budget.
history of knowing, how much, even if you took this anomaly out of there, and if you look back at others, did we have to make any kind of adjustments? And maybe you didn't because you had some higher lag in there where you could cover it. But if you're running your departments at 90 to 100%, you don't have that room in your budget where you can do that. So we do need to, in my mind, set something aside for that.
I agree, and it really is only a few years of doing that, banking that money, and not having one where now you have a substantial amount that we're gonna have to tighten our belts for a few years, a little bit, like you said, remove a street or something. But I think it's a necessary step to build that up.
Yeah, and some of the big retirements will roll off because you can't cash out sick anymore.
Right,
So that will wind down. So
To
Bill made
change the
something years
policy,
ago to
yes.
wind that down. But certainly we could put something in the budget every year.
Yeah, and it's the sick time payout that's the hard hitter. It's not the vacation because there's a cap on the vacation. It's the sick time that really is rough.
Yeah.
Good.
We don't wish anyone to get sick, but
No.
No.
But if you want to use some hours, go for it. The next line on here is to add $20,000 to the water, for paying for water service for parks. There have been issues with the well system, and there's been leaks this fiscal year. It's just been one of those years. So in order to pay the water bill, we need a little bit of extra funding in parks budget for that.
okay.
And then,
Any questions on that?
No, it seems pretty straightforward.
yeah.
Unless- would you like to talk
I'll
about it?
clarify it.
Okay, thank you.
The issues is at rugby. Rugby fields were built on a well system that you tap into for irrigation.
Okay,
That fails all the time, and when it does, we have to switch over to White House water
okay.
for irrigation. And if you know anything about Bermuda grass and irrigation, in the summer you got to water the heck out of it.
Mhm.
So when we do have to switch to city water, it can trigger a $3,000 or $4,000 a month bill. When if we're on the well, it's $200.
What is your failure rate with this?
Every time there's a good rain, it messes up the floats and the pumps, and then
okay.
there's about one company that'll come out and work on it, and it's just the way it's built in a floodplain, and when it works good, it's great.
Maybe you need to hire a floodplain pump specialist.
There's one of those.
They're,
Mm.
yeah.
They come out.
Jesse, what do you think about that?
In redrilling, they come out.
Or we do a budget amendment for 20,000.
Okay, thank you, Ed.
The next line item number 26 on here is requesting some additional funding for the part-time salaries lines for parks. That is to fully fund the required employees for all of the programs that Parks does, as well as adding in a 6.7% increase for the part-time employees that are on that pay scale TPO1 that did not get an increase during the budget. That's for the parks maintenance workers.
So why was this not included in the annual budget, in the fiscal year budget?
I guess we didn't.
Because
Vote.
It was only the full-time employees got
I don't think necessarily that everybody realized that
Yeah.
when y'all did the raise for all employees,
Mhm.
the way that was done did not include part-time or seasonal people.
Yeah. It was on
So
the-
this isn't paying for their regular salaries. This is all paying for that increase for them.
No, a piece of it's the increase, and then a piece of it is to fully fund the total.
So that's my question.
Yeah,
I'm
it's
not
both.
asking, I'm not questioning the raises. I'm questioning why we didn't fund their actual salary or their original salaries.
For the programs that are,
Yeah.
I can explain that probably better than anybody.
Okay.
For 9 or 10 years, because I've had to go back and look at it myself. Until Tamara took over, honestly, the department heads really were out of the salary line items during the budget process. We were just kind of told, take care of operations and assets and projects. Salaries were budgeted, let me just say this. These folks have really tightened the belt on full-time salaries, which sometimes covered other areas. I don't know how else to better explain that to you.
Okay.
Part-time parks people, there's like 2 or 3 different line items: part-time special, part-time seasonal, part-time. It's been a process for 2 or 3 years for us to try to figure out how many we need, what hours can they work, what are we offering, how many maintenance people we need. We have over 80 part-time seasonal people
Wow.
in the parks.
That's a lot.
Over the last year, we have increased the number of gyms that we use for basketball by 10 to 15. So every time we add a new gym, which allows us to run the basketball league, we have to put 1 or 2 people in that gym every night of the week and all day Saturday this time of year, sometimes on Sundays. So that right there is an extra 20 part-time people in the last 2 years just for our basketball league.
Mr. Chairman, can I add something?
Yes.
So I want to add to what Andy said, all very, very important. If y'all remember, however, when we were setting the budget and we talked about raises, it got very confusing. It was people who didn't get a raise, but in this area, but who shouldn't get the same raise as the folks over here, and then you scale it down for the other employees below that. It got very, very confusing when we were setting the budget as far as who was getting what raise. And after we passed it, Tamara and I sat down and Andy, and we thought, we're not real sure if this group of employees got raises.
Well, like I said, the raises are not what I was questioning at all. I totally get that.
Okay.
And I know we've had, I'm sorry to interrupt, and I want you to finish your thought, but that wasn't the purpose of my question. The purpose of my question is, why did we not fund their originals, their regular salaries, not necessarily their raises? But go ahead.
Okay. Yeah, there's some confusion there whether we actually had done that.
Really?
So that's why we got together afterward. And I'll be real quick here. And the reason it's important to me that we do this now is because I think we've just went through a couple weeks where it shows that paying our staff competitively is very, very important.
So we used to have some room in salaries to cover part-time where we've budgeted regular salaries tighter now. And we've added gyms.
Yeah, I mean, there's been years over the last. I went back and kind of just looked at it. What's part-time salaries been for 8 or 9 years, and there were years when it stayed the same for 2 or 3 years while all our programs and leagues and things were increasing. There was a couple of years where all these things were increasing and part-time salaries got cut, but we were never over budget in salaries. So I think what they've tried to do is really, and you see that in the next couple of line items when you're adjusting police salaries. They've looked at full-time salaries and really done a better job of being accurate with that, which has forced us to look more closely at the line items under that in part-time and figure out how many do we need? How many hours can they work? You know, they can work 30 hours a week. We have 13 full-time maintenance guys. I think we have 24 part-time maintenance guys. So, you know, you start looking at some of those guys can work 3 days a week. Some of them work 1 day a week for 12 hours. It's quite the puzzle. And I think this year we were more accurate than we were last year, because I think our amendment last year to figure all this out was larger. So hopefully this coming year we'll have an even better idea of what we're doing.
Well, especially after we met, I don't know, it's probably been 6 weeks ago or so, to really look at, you know, total number of leagues and how many people it takes to run them, so we can really do hopefully a better job of estimating for next year.
We shifted a full-time guy to work Monday through Friday, 3 p.m. to 11 p.m., which that took our part-time calendar, and we shaved 20 to 30 hours off of that because of that person going to the nighttime. Most of our part-time people work nights and weekends. So that's a long answer to a very short question. The biggest increase is in the basketball program supervisors, having to hire 20 extra people to run the basketball league.
So here's a quick follow-up question, kind of piggybacking on what Alderman Evans was saying. Are we planning for an increase in budget request next year when we come to the budget?
I think we'll probably have to increase over what we started with this year.
Over this year, yes.
Do I think it's
Are we
going to
gonna
have to be
match?
at this level that we're matching right now? I don't know that yet. I hope not, but
Okay, well,
hopefully we can look at everything and figure out where we can.
shave a little bit.
I mean, it's tough because, you know, you go play a basketball game we use Pope John Paul High School.
Sure.
They have 2 gyms, and they're very nice to let us play there, and it's really nice. So we're going to put 2 or 3 people in there.
Sure.
And we go, you know, you go to Gene Brown for practice. That's, you walk in the door, there's the gym, you walk out. You only have to have 1 person.
Right.
You go to Liberty Creek High School, 2 gyms, got to have 4 people, pretty much.
Right.
So it's very tricky.
Well,
And the
thank you
maintenance side of it is tricky when you start talking about adding the Sanders Ferry Greenway. And here I'll tell you right now, by the summertime, Heritage Park, the hiking and walking trails are going to be ours. If you look at me right now and say, Andy, how you going to maintain that? I'm going to tell you, I don't know yet.
The new park.
Right.
Yeah.
The walking trails on the
I
hill.
mean, that's what we were
Correct.
talking
Yeah.
about
Yeah.
when we were discussing improving that.
Right.
And you didn't know then.
No. That's not the farm part. I'm talking about the hill part.
Just the hiking
That's
trails.
going to get turned over to us. 38 acres of bike trails and walking trails.
Oh, I consider it all one.
Right.
Okay.
That's going to be open real quick.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I get a little nervous about that.
Talked to Daniel last night about that. Matter of fact.
I would be very interested to see a comparison of the population growth versus our parks growth. Honestly, I mean, I know you've done a great job building up that program and starting all those additional programs for our parks, and we've grown it. I think it's been great what you've done and the parks that have been built in there. Like I mentioned to you before, I just think I'm afraid we're doing too much, and it's not sustainable. And we're going to be putting that cost on our residents, because the people that when we looked at the budget, the amount of money we're getting in on parks does not equal the amount going out on parks, which it never will and it never should. But as long as they're both rising at the same rate, I think it makes sense to continue on that path, that trajectory. Are they both? Is the income on the parks rising at the same rate that the population is rising?
Mm-hmm.
That's all I'm looking for.
I will tell you that we're about to do a 5-year Parks Master Plan update, as you probably know.
Yeah.
Probably will be done by July, August, and you'll get a comparison of what our system looks like compared to what a national average looks like in terms of how much parkland we have per person, how many parks we have per person, how many FTE, full-time equivalent maintenance people we have compared to what you should have, all the things. So hopefully that'll help you.
Yeah, look forward to seeing it.
Absolutely.
And I don't think we'll be going backwards anytime soon. A lot of the horses are out of the barn.
Yeah. We keep thinking it's going to level off and it doesn't level off.
Let's promote volunteerism. That's the volunteer state.
Volunteers great, but you know,
You need somebody to supervise the volunteers.
that's what I was going to tell you. You know, we have 2 assistant directors whose main job is to work with all these leagues that volunteers run.
Right.
That's like managing full-time employees at times.
Well, y'all are doing a great job. Thank
So-
you for what you do.
Yes.
Well, we need to move on. So
Sorry.
I think Alderman Robertson had a question behind you
I'll wait and ask during
tonight.
because it's on the agenda.
Yes, it is.
Yes, it is.
I'll ask.
The last 2 lines on here are actually where we've identified some cost savings. Line number 27, looking at the police department's budget, their salaries line, because they have had several vacancies throughout the year. We identified that we can utilize and reduce their budget by about $250,000 to offset some of these increased expenses. And then the cost that we pay to the county for the emergency communications center is coming in less than what was budgeted, and so we identified we could reduce that cost by that budget by a little bit to offset some of these. Bottom line on this budget amendment is that after this amendment is done, we are at a net zero. There's no longer a deficit on our operating budget with this amendment.
That's good.
I make a motion, we accept these adjustments and that we present it to Bumble with a positive recommendation.
A second.
Okay. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
That passes unanimously. Okay, thanks, Bill. Let's move on to the next item here, which is the report, right? Yep,
Right.
annual report.
Okay, the audit
Take it
report.
away.
Great. All right. Well, thank you so much.
We have about 3.5 minutes.
Okay, well, we know what time it is, so we will be brief. And I will say our main purpose for being here in front of you all today is to be able to answer your questions. And so we obviously can't cover everything with documents that are that thick. And so just a few things. So first, I'm Ken Youngstead with Baker Tilly here with Julie Evans, a director with our firm. Julie led our team. Has been involved for a number of years with your audit. So the 2 documents that we have, I'll just first cover a couple of brief comments on this letter, which is just to report out to those in a governance role about the results of the audit. And I will tell you that this is all, pretty standard language. We go through a risk assessment. We plan our audit procedures around some of that assessment. We perform the audit in accordance with government auditing standards. You also have a single audit. Julie will cover a few things about our reporting in there, but basically the first few pages just talk about our audit planning and approach and where we see risks and where we had focus areas, and so pretty standard of what you'd expect. So I go through and you have questions about something like that, I can go in more detail. But on page 6, there's no new accounting policies that were adopted this year. It's a pretty quiet year from a standard standpoint, so very similar. We have a listing in the middle of page 6 of the major estimates that are involved in your audit. All audits have estimates, or financial statements have estimates. As we go into the next page, again, we didn't have any significant difficulties or disagreements, had great cooperation from the whole team here. So there's a lot of people that we work with, but Tamara has been integral in us getting us to the point where we issued in late December. There's a section that talks about uncorrected or corrected misstatements. I'll just tell you that uncorrected misstatements, there was like a nominal thing that was based on a projection. I think from a governance standpoint, you should feel very good about the condition of the books and records. I think the corrected misstatements also very nominal, or things that we'd expect, or that we've come to kind of work through in just terms of presentation and things like that. So I think that your team's done a great job, on that front. Yeah. The next few pages, again, if we have things like we, have consultations or see compliance issues, things like that, we like to report those out to you in a manner like this. We do have on page 9 a reference to some of the required supplementary information that that you all present, and then there's also some information that's required by the state of Tennessee and uniform guidance, things like that. So, we talk about our opinions on those, but we'll cover that in the report. And then otherwise, we have the management representation letter that you provided to us that basically say these financial statements are the city's, and we provide an opinion on those, but these are your statements. And so we ask that, that you all acknowledge to us that you've, given us what we've asked for and that you've reviewed and things like that. So that's the purpose of the representation letter. And, I think in terms of, now I'm flipping the page. Gosh, it doesn't have a page number, but it's close to the back. It's like 3 or 4 pages from the end. Talk about new standards that are coming, and really they're just a couple of minor presentation, kind of things for next year's audit that will adjust in terms of the standards change. So it's going to be pretty simple.
In your opinion, is the city in a healthy financial position?
I think so.
I was gonna say you all have definitely improved over the last several years. I know, and I can't remember at this point, 4, 5, 6 years ago that we were saying maybe there's room to improve your unrestricted fund balance, and you all have done that. So.
Done that. Yeah.
Yeah, I think we're all sweating a little bit back then.
Good, thank you.
So no, you had some good policies and good oversight with all that. So I'm just going to touch briefly on this packet of about 150 or 100 and so pages of information. No, I'm gonna tell you where to focus your information. So there's several pages before you get to page 1, but there is the transmittal letter from the city and to the city and the Board of Mayor and Aldermen that just talk about current conditions in the city and some expected things. And then page 1 is the independent auditor's report. So this is our opinion on the financial statement. So the first 2 paragraphs in there are really the most important part that talks about the opinion, which is that we've given an opinion that your financial statements are fairly stated. We look at the governmental activities, the business type activities, what's considered to be a major fund, and then all the aggregate other smaller funds, and give opinions on each of those. But we do believe everything that is in here is fairly stated and properly disclosed. So those opinions are the kind of opinion you'll need. But then there's 2 or 3 more pages that talk about the audit process and kind of our responsibilities, management's responsibilities, and then some of the other things that are included in the financial statements. And then what follows that is, as a citizen or someone in a governance role, this management's discussion and analysis is really the best high-level oversight of the financial highlights for the year. It takes the information that's in the bulk of this report and kind of breaks it down into something a little more digestible. So that would be where I would tell you all to focus that information on. If you want details, pretty much the entire middle section is there. And then once you get to, it's page 102, there's an other report section. So as Ken mentioned, we do the audit under government auditing standards, just generally accepted auditing standards, and the single audit, which is the federal compliance. So page 102 and 103 is an opinion on financial reporting and internal control over that process. And so we're happy to report we don't have anything to tell you findings wise there. Page 104 to 106 is the report that's required by the uniform guidance. So we do specific tests over your federal award programs. And so this year we were doing it on, the last couple of years has been on highway projects. This year was on the water and wastewater system, really the stormwater. Yeah, ARPA money from the TDEC. So we looked at that and looked at the reimbursement requests and things like that. And so we believe you're in compliance with those laws and regulations. So happy to report clean opinions there. And then page 107 is really a summary. So you can see this is something that the federal government requires with the single audits, is a summary that says your financial statement audit was unmodified. We didn't have any material weaknesses or significant deficiencies that we had either on your financial statements or the federal awards. It talks about what our major program was, and then if we had any findings, those would be on this very last page, and we're happy to report there's nothing to report to you.
Yeah.
So
Not even a page.
that's what you want to see. That's what the state wants to see. So
Tamara, do we make this publicly available?
It's on the website already.
Fantastic.
Fantastic. So anyone out there, if you want to take a look at it, just go to hvilletn.org and /finance, right?
Yeah, if you look under finance department, you'll see it under financial
Yeah.
reports.
And you'll be able to look at the city's
And whose
finances.
responsibility is to get this to the state? Do
So we file.
file
We're
it.
under a three-way contract
Okay.
between our firm, the city, and the state.
Okay.
And so we file that with
Okay.
them before year end is
Got
when
it.
we're required to do that. So
Thank you.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, guys. Any other questions?
thank you.
No, it was wonderful. Thank you,
Very thorough.
Tamara, Jesse, all of
Yeah.
your staff doing a great job keeping us in the black.
Yep.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Kevin. Thank you, Julie.
All right, let's move on. We've got 15 minutes here. So next on the agenda is discussion of a letter from Sumner County regarding payments of adequate facilities tax. This is a recurring agenda item.
And I
Do we-
think Lance has an update on that.
Lance has an update. Good timing, Lance.
Well, I was behind you.
Oh.
Come over here where you can see me. So,
Were you giving me bunny ears?
yeah, I'll watch it.
Okay, go ahead.
The letter sent a more specified itemized list of permits that it claims that we issued without verification. And it also requested some documents supporting some of those permits. The codes director, Greg Story, came and sat with me, and we went through all of these. We got all the documentation they requested, and then we went through these items, and all of them were either not related to development. So in other words, a permit was pulled because of something to do with a crawl space or a pavilion, something that didn't relate to development. And then the other ones were
All of them, you said.
None of them are really anything that we did wrong based on what they were for or the timing, because the timing of it was we maintained that the communication they sent us in February of 2024 did not specify that we were to start verifying for commercial AFT, adequate facilities tax. In April of 2025, when we did get the word that that's what we were supposed to be doing, we started doing that on all new permit applications. So the rest of these came in after the permit was applied for. So based on that and some other legal theories that we've discussed before and I put in the memo, I believe the city should maintain its current position, which is that it's not something that we're liable for, but we do want to provide all this information to the county like they requested and give some more specificity as to some of these permits, what they were for and why they didn't apply.
When do you expect to have that prepared and ready?
I just want to put it in a spreadsheet and just put it in a letter, so maybe give me a week if that's okay.
Okay, can you share it with us so we can review it?
I guess I will. Yeah, absolutely. I'll send it to you, to the committee first, and if you approve, then we'll send it on.
Okay, fantastic. And will you be including a letter with that?
Yes.
Do you need us to co-sign with that, with your findings?
I don't need that, but I mean, if that's what I'll send it to you, and you can, the committee can look at it and see if it
I want to put this to bed, is what I want to do.
Yeah.
I want this to,
Well, I'm not sure this will put it to bed,
I don't
but
think it will either.
it's either
Whatever we can do.
it's either this or come up with $278,000.
Based on, sorry, based on,
When we don't owe it, go ahead.
sorry, sure, sorry, yes. Based upon your estimations, how many did you find that were partially correct and partially completely wrong? Do you have an estimate? Just a half and half, or?
I can't find any of them that fell outside the perimeters I just mentioned, which are that they were before or they occurred after the permit was applied for,
Yes.
or that they had anything to do with development. When somebody pulls a permit to fix their crawl space, that's not an AFT
Okay,
situation.
thank you.
Do you have something to add?
I'm also under the impression too, and Lance, feel free to back me up or tell me I'm wrong, that even if we make a mistake in this situation, we are not liable for the lost funds.
Yeah, I tend to agree.
Yes, thank
Just
you.
based on the information that we've received and you've shared with us, and you've shared all the data with us, and we've all reviewed it pretty extensively.
Yes.
And I know none of us saw anything that would lead us to believe that we owed anything. I agree.
I'm sorry you had to go through all that, but thank you.
Greg Story does a great job, and
Yes, thank you,
his
Greg.
team back there, you know, as soon as he found out word that that's what they were supposed to be doing, they immediately put together a plan to do that and immediately began doing that. So it's all. Just to be clear, so these that they have sent to us, how am I going to ask this? If we had been doing things, would we have paid any of these if, I guess if we were reviewing it correctly at that time? I mean, I'm trying to understand whether it's a.
We verify it. We don't collect it. If that
Okay.
answers your question.
Okay.
They do not pay the county's adequate facility tax to the city. The city is supposed to just verify that it has been paid to the county.
Right. But where they have come to us and said, these are all the things that you should have verified or whatever.
Yeah.
You've said something about some of these were not like crawl spaces or whatever, and they should have never been included as an adequate facilities tax issue to begin with. Is that what I hear you saying? I'm confused as far as why I'm trying to understand how to.
Well, I think the spreadsheet's going to put together will
Okay.
make it a little clearer.
Yeah, and I'll put together all the reasonings that we have for each of these items. I'll also include all the permits behind
I
it.
guess I want to say I like the fact that if you found any that they would have never been adequate facilities tax under the old way versus the new way, versus we didn't understand a cutoff at this time of February 2024, and now we're doing it. That's kind of what I've been understanding that the whole issue was to begin with.
It's a mix of those two things, you know.
See, I have a little bit of trouble with it being the timing of things, and that if the rules changed or whatever they were made, and it kind of gets into the situation. Maybe we didn't understand the rules, or we should have. I don't know what it is, but I have a harder time agreeing with this if it's an issue where it's a time situation as opposed to these were issues that don't fall under the adequate facilities tax to begin with.
And I think both of them lead to a strong position that the city isn't liable. The county started doing this in 1999 when the resolution was passed for industrial development.
Okay.
In 2025, it looked under the industrial things that fall under the SIC, the standardized, that could fall under industrial. So just a year and a half ago, it started interpreting commercial now to be included in industrial.
Okay.
But the communication that went out just stated, please review what's included under industrial, under the SIC. The standardized industrial classification.
And I get that we have an opinion, but what is the opinion of other like organizations? I mean, what I'm looking for is, okay, this is going to get into a match between county and the city about which one's right, but what's precedent or what's happening in other government agencies who made the decision that these should have been included under that SIC and should have been a part. That's kind of where it's getting to is who made that call. And so who's going to make the call about which one's right?
I think it's a commercial and development board. Was it do you recall what?
I think it was just the county attorney who made that determination. It was during a conversation. It came up in a conversation.
He made the decision, then set a committee to do it.
I don't know
where
the decision came from.
But as soon as we were made aware, we started.
Yes.
Verifying.
Yeah,
that's where the distinction is.
I don't think that we actually have standing to challenge the particular decision unless it's litigated that that we're sued upon this
Okay.
event. But as far as
I have a feeling that's where we're going to be heading to this.
it might be, yeah.
Okay.
Jay, I think, wanted to.
So about half of this bill that they're saying that we're responsible for is the Molly Walton Music City Studios repurposing that site and the buildings over there. Have they provided us, like they say, these are the ones that you never verified. Do we know that these were not paid by those businesses on their own?
We don't know
So
if they've been paid or not paid.
So they could be double dipping on some of these requests.
Possibility. Yeah.
Was that Lincoln?
The Lincoln property.
Properties?
And if Lincoln knew that they needed to pay this, they'd probably go pay that. So I'm just wondering if they've demonstrated that they actually never received these funds.
It's a great question. We'll ask that of the county to verify which of these have been actually paid.
Well, and you would think that if it came to a suit, that they would have to prove that.
Absolutely, yeah.
Thank you. Good point. Good point. We're running short on time. Any other questions? No? Okay, we can move on from there. The next one is discussion of Sumner County regarding funds bequeathed to the Hendersonville Public Library. Who's taking that one?
I
Mayor
guess.
just left.
Like I said, I don't think that there's actually an update on that
No
one.
update.
At least there wasn't when I talked to the mayor last week.
Okay. All right, well then we can move on. Sales tax.
All right, I'm gonna whip through these really, really fast
Yep.
because we've got about 2 minutes. First one that you have in front of you is the local option sales tax report. This is revenues through December. Revenues are still up a little bit, which is
I found that in there. Okay.
looking good. We're looking right now a little over 500,000 projected over budget for our local
That's
option.
great.
Yes, December came in really strong.
Are we over a percentage for the year to date?
Year to date, we are
3%.
3% over. Over last year. Over last year, we're about just under 2.5% over budget projected.
Okay, good.
State share sales tax, very similar trajectory as the local option sales tax. December came in strong for that one as well. About 3 3/4% over the prior year, with about the same percentage over our anticipated our budget for year-end estimations.
Yeah, both of them are a little bit below budget, right? Estimates. I see 99.9% down here at the bottom. Percent of budget.
Oh, last year we came in 99.
Oh, that's last year.
Last
My
year,
mistake.
yeah. You want to look at the one that's in the box.
My mistake, sorry.
Yep. And the next category, which Mr. Gilly stepped out, but hotel motel is continuing to be up every single month. This year has been
Great.
above the prior year.
Good.
So we're back in full operation with all of the hotels since the one got repaired after the tornado. So the hotel motel is looking really strong as far as their revenues. That'll come in, I think, probably a little bit over budget.
Okay, good.
That's my favorite.
Investment earnings, we keep anticipating that they will go down, and you can on our LGIP investments, you can see that the interest rate is continuing to just gradually come down and down and down on there. But we are anticipating, when we budgeted, we anticipated those rates dropping a little bit quicker than they have, so we are still coming in above budget on our investment earnings,
Fantastic.
which is fantastic. Stormwater collections through this one I actually have updated through January, whereas the other ones are through December, because stormwater it's real time, there's no arrears on that one. Through January, we're about 14,000 above where we were through January of last year. That one's looking strong.
Is that because people are paying their taxes earlier?
Mm-hmm. You can see where we really saw the difference was in October. We got the tax bills out so early this year, the first week of October, like we're supposed to, that we had a lot more folks coming in early and paying. Plus, there's a little bit more every year, so we're right on target to hit budget on this.
And real short on PIP.
And real short on PIP. That one also is looking strong. Revenues look less than last year, but that's because we took the extra off of the grocery.
Right.
We no longer have that on there, which we did last year. And I think we're right where we are anticipating on that one. Maybe even projecting a little bit over. We're projecting a little bit over budget on our PIP revenues.
Okay. Great.
Ta-da.
Thank you.
Okay.
Anything else? No. Need a
Make a motion, we